technically speaking, I have a broken ankle. So, should not have been doing that. Just don't tell my mom, I guess. I'm hoping that you can guess that the movie that I just saw was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This is the fourth in the reboot, like 10th overall if you're including the 60s and 70s original ones. And you might also debatably include the 2001 Tim Burton one with Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, people still remember that movie was a thing. So this one was the one that followed up after we had Rise, we had Dawn, and we had War for the Planet of the Apes. So we had that trilogy. It was Andy Serkis starring as Caesar, and I saw all those movies in theaters, and I loved them. I thought they were all great. I also think that people didn't really actually talk about them all that much. It's, to me, one of the most underrated trilogies ever. I think they're great movies. The cinematography is fantastic. The visuals are like some of the best in any movie ever. Stuff looks real. And there was a big gap between War and this film, and at first I was a bit like, oh, okay, like anytime there's a big gap, it's always a little bit worrisome. But it seemed like a natural progression to go many generations after Caesar, and now the apes have kind of gained more intellect, and the humans have regressed even further, and that's where everything starts off with. It seems like as motion capture technology kept getting better and better with every year, they were figuring out new themes with all of these films. And with this movie, to me what it felt like was the facial expressions in particular, and just how we're able to read the emotions on all of the apes. I don't think Andy Serkis was appreciated enough for what he did with the character of Caesar in those first three movies. And there was definitely a technological progression with each of those films in what they were capable of doing with the motion capture technology. And with this film, every ape's personality shines through. A big part of that is the technological leaps, and it feels like the facial expressions in particular, you can read everything that happens. There's just, you can even see like the tears coming out. It's done so well, and none of the movements that happen feel unnatural. It all feels real and believable. As real and believable as the Planet of the Apes can seem, I guess. So the visuals are fantastic, and that is the biggest part of the movie. But kind of like Godzilla Minus One, which is gaining huge traction once again just because it dropped on Netflix. Just like with that movie, as great as the visuals are, the reason this film works is because it's a well-made movie. What I mean by that is if you have a camera shot of two characters, when their eyes move in a different direction, then the camera is able to follow that, and the next shot then appropriately has the correct point of reference from that. Just the way that everything is placed together. It works well. All of the filmmaking techniques for how to make stuff feel logical and natural, and you're not taking anyone out of the realm of where they're at. Everything you need to do in a regular movie, they also do that here. So it's well made on the technical front as well as the visual front. The visuals are fantastic. What blew my mind the most with them is you can't hide them. This is a movie of the apes, and you can't hide the apes. There's a lot of them. There's a planet full of them. So they're in every single scene. So whereas maybe like, you know, you have a like half human, half whatever character. You have like a centaur. So, you know, you have like the legs that aren't human, right? With that, maybe you just shoot them waist up, and then now you're saving shots where you don't have to add in any visual effects after the fact. Something like that, right? You can't do that with this movie. Apes are in every scene. You need visuals for every single scene. And there's no drop-off point in any of them. It all looks great. An extension of the visuals, and what I think was actually my favorite thing of the movie is actually the production design. I think the best way to reference this is, once again, actually with video games. I'm talking like Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us, the Uncharted series. All of these have moments in the games where you go, wow, this is gorgeous, this is beautiful. And those successful video games will oftentimes, whether through unlockables or what else, show you the concept art, and you get to see just the design process with all the locales, and with each one of those series, there's a lot of real life environments that they are borrowing and then adding their own spin on based on the own situation of the setting it takes place in. And that's what it feels like here. It feels like, hey, we have these locales that feel like they're somewhere in America, and they add on to them in the coolest ways. And what they did was they also fooled me, because I don't know where the real stopped and where the fake started. I could never tell. And that to me means that they did a good job. Are the mountains fake? Is the cave fake? Is the ocean fake? Are the apes fake? Who knows? Speaking of this taking place somewhere in the US, they don't specify that, but Indiana gets shout out. I guess they could use one, you know, shout out Indiana, right? Sure. So once again, I want to reference the titles of all of these movies, because they are titles that have provocative feelings of, ooh, this is going to be a spectacle. Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn, War, Kingdom. You think Kingdom and you think, you know, this is going to be a very large spanning thing. The thing that actually works with all of these films is how small scale they actually feel. There's always some sort of small group of central human characters in each of those three movies that we're interacting with alongside the main apes. And because each one of those characters has their time to shine, they're all developed really well, they all have unique personalities, they all mesh really well, and the same is true here. The few human characters that we interact with, all are unique. All of the main ape characters that we interact with have unique personalities. We are invested in all of their journeys. So just because it says Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, we really only focus on a few apes, 2 tribes, there's a couple of humans, and that's it. And alongside with that, because the apes have, had more intellect, they're a little better than apes together, strong. They're a bit beyond that point, but they're still not talking too fluently. Whereas the humans have regressed to where they really barely even speak at all. So there's very little dialogue at all in this movie, which means that all the ape characters do have to convey a lot of what they are feeling through their body expressions and through the facial expressions. Same with the human characters as well. And I didn't need any more dialogue than what we got. I was spending the same time with the apes with this sense of discovery that this film has. Again, with the locales and just where this film is set at in the however far in the future this virus has now kind of taken over. I think it's just, there's this sense of wonder and discovery and adventure that I felt similarly from Avatar 2. That movie had like a 45-minute stretch where it was just world building at its finest. And that's really just me sitting back during this movie and just enjoying all 2.5 hours just because I thought everything was so fun and cool to see. It never lost my attention, and it didn't need to do more than what it did. I think it's safe to say I got lost in those beady monkey eyes. I really loved this movie. I thought it was truly a great movie, really well made, just a solid stepping stone for the franchise. We'll see where they take this next. This gets a solid 9 out of 10. And I am not monkeying about with that. Don't go ape crazy in the comments. What else? I can't think of other primate puns. Just have fun with it. That's it for me. I'll see it. It's fantastic. Not only did they teach the monkeys how to speak, they taught them how to act as well. Cut that out, it doesn't work. It's so stupid.